my name is Jamie and I post videos every Sunday. So as you might have seen on my channel, my husband and I went to Hawaii for our honeymoon, and I'm so excited that we picked it as our destination because it was a dream honeymoon slash holiday location. It truly had everything that we wanted from a holiday. I've uploaded a few vlogs, but I thought it might be helpful to do a recap in this video of all my favorite spots and the things that we did in case you are planning a trip to Hawaii. So let's just get into the video. So firstly, we spent 5 nights in Maui and then we spent 5 nights on Oahu. So we went to Honolulu. I will say that I really didn't mind the order. Like Maui, it was so relaxing. It felt just so much more untouched. And Honolulu, it felt like the hustling big city. So it really depends what you might prefer if you're going to both locations. We definitely didn't need to spend equal times on both islands because you could explore Maui in a shorter amount of time. Like I think 3 nights would have been perfect, and then we would have more time to explore other areas. We booked 2 Airbnbs in Maui to explore different areas of the island, but this Airbnb in South Maui was my favorite. It was 930 Australian dollars for 3 nights. It was in such a great central location and it was just opposite really beautiful beaches. It also had a kitchen and laundry facilities, and they also supplied beach gear such as a beach towel, beach chairs, snorkeling gear, etc. So that was super handy. The host was super lovely to deal with, so I'll leave a link in the description box below in case you're interested to book this Airbnb. We visited this beach park, which was just a 10-minute drive from our accommodation, and I'll pop the name on the screen because I know I will butcher the pronunciation. I found it to be a really nice spot because it wasn't too crowded, it was more secluded, so it was very relaxing. My husband and I spent hours just swimming and reading our books on the beach, so I definitely recommend this beautiful spot. So this next activity was such a highlight of our entire honeymoon. We went on a kayak tour with Kayak Olawalu after seeing so many positive reviews on TripAdvisor. The tour cost around $65 US per person, which is around 97 Australian dollars. And it was really nice to be guided by one tour guide, and it was a really small group, around 7 people in total. It was really nice, especially if you don't have kayaking experience. You feel super supported and you won't be left behind. So we met at the destination and got some snorkeling gear. So we started off in the kayaks and kayaked until we reached a nice spot and put on our snorkeling gear. So you'd snorkel at a spot, then kayak to a different spot and snorkel some more, and so on. This was actually my first time snorkeling ever, so when I first got into the water, it was definitely a little overwhelming, I'm not going to lie, but I got the hang of it eventually, and I'm so glad I didn't miss out on such an amazing experience. The water was so pristine and we really lucked out with the weather, so it was incredible to see things so clearly. We got up close and personal with all of the sea life, including the sea turtles, which was such a highlight. We were most excited to see the turtles. And I was only expecting to maybe see one sea turtle, but we saw multiple, and we got so close to them, obviously without disturbing them, and we saw different coral and fishes, and I thought the guide was great in pointing these out. I couldn't recommend the tour more. I'm sure it is dependent on what the weather is like and what the conditions are like, but hopefully the stars align on your trip because we had an amazing experience. Again, I'll leave a link in the description box below, and I'll also just mention that the tour was longer than I expected, so just keep that in mind when you're planning your itinerary. It will more likely take up most of your day. We, of course, did what most tourists do in Maui, which is the Road to Hana drive. The Hana Highway is 103 kilometers long, and honestly, the sights were beautiful. We went on our last day in Maui, and unfortunately, it was like the worst weather conditions to go, and I was so surprised that there were still so many people on the road with us because there was like pretty much torrential rain while we were on the road. It was a bit of a scary drive, so I will say if you're not a confident driver, I'd suggest going with a tour because most parts of the drive you're on a very narrow road and there are so many twists and turns. We went on the drive early in the morning as we were just doing a day trip. We visited Kipahulu, definitely butchering that pronunciation, I'm so sorry. And we did the Pipiwei trail. We saw the large banyan tree, we saw the waterfalls, which were stunning, and we also stopped by the bamboo forest on that hike. I really loved it and I thought it was worth going even in such terrible conditions. I'm really glad we went. There weren't many food stops along the way for us because it was a public holiday and a lot of stores and stalls were closed. Luckily, we did pack enough food for our road trip, so I'm thankful about that. If you're doing this drive, I'd suggest your essential items are shoes with good grip, insect repellent, and some cash. Some of the smaller stalls like banana bread stalls only accepted cash. If you know me, there's no way I'm not gonna talk about the food. Maui food was freaking amazing. We had this sushi at Miso Phat Sushi, and there's 2 spots in Maui. It was freaking delicious, and my husband and I reminisce about the sushi all the time, and specifically their Miso Phat sushi dish was our favorite. We absolutely love the food truck lot behind Azeka shopping center, and I really loved the coffee from Kraken coffee. I got the white choc macadamia nut iced coffee, and that was delicious. And we also ordered some baos from Suns Out, Buns Out, and it was really yum. I especially loved the ube baos, which is something that I had never had before. We also ordered the garlic shrimp tacos from the Nani Pirates food truck, and they were so yum as well. Honestly, this spot was just food truck heaven. There's a lot of variety, and I assure you, you will find some delicious food. We also had amazing Thai food at Nutcharee's authentic Thai food in the Azeka shopping center. Of course, when you're in Maui, you have to try some of the shaved ice, and we really loved this spot. It's good.
Yeah.
We went to a fancier dinner place for one of the nights in Maui, and this restaurant was called Taverna Maui. We had the pizza, we had the linguine, we had some cocktails and some drinks, and we also had the dessert, which was this beautiful ice cream sandwich. I really loved this spot, and I definitely go back. It was also a really nice vibe, and the service was great. Moving on to our favorite activities on Oahu. So as I mentioned, we stayed in Honolulu and we visited Kualoa Ranch, which is around 45 minutes from Waikiki. Again, this was one of the top highlights of our entire honeymoon. We took an ATV tour in the Jurassic Valley so we could visit all of the sites that were in the movies, and just driving through it was an incredible experience. It was around 2 hours in total, and it cost around $175 per person, so it was definitely not cheap. The tour guide does provide a lot of insights and facts about the valley, and you make several stops throughout the trip. Each vehicle can fit around 5 to 6 people, and I'm pretty sure children aged 5 and over can also join. Drivers just have to be at least 21 years old and bring their license when checking in. If you're a big fan of the movies, I would highly recommend this tour, and it does book out quite early, so be sure to book it early so you don't miss your spot. Our next favorite activity was visiting the Polynesian Cultural Center. It's basically a place where you get to really explore 6 different villages representing the island cultures of Hawaii, Fiji, Aotearoa, Samoa, Tahiti, and Tonga. So we actually got picked up at a location very close to our accommodation. So we went on the bus tour to get to the cultural center. Also, just FYI, I'm purposely not mentioning the accommodation that we stayed at Oahu because I just wouldn't recommend the accommodation. But anyway, back to the Polynesian Cultural Center. We bought the Ali Luau package, and this includes a group guided tour through the different island villages. We also were able to go to the Luau buffet with live entertainment, and we also watched the fire show at the end of the day. The duration of the tour, starting from the guided tour all the way till the end of the fire show, was around 8.5 hours, so it was a long day. And it was also pricey, so the package that we bought was $190 US per adult, and for a child's ticket that was around $150. There are different packages that are available on their website. The experience was really educational and it was also entertaining, and I felt like the details of the tour were super well planned out. And I especially loved the luau. That was a really cool experience. And in case you're wondering, the food at the buffet was really delicious. And honestly, I'm glad we splurged a little bit more to stay for the fire show at the end, because that was also a highlight of the tour. It's so hard to be critical of it because we had such a wonderful time throughout the whole day. And just letting you know, when we arrived, there were a lot of food options. So the bus dropped us off quite a bit earlier than when the tour started, so we had some time to eat and also wander around and have a look at the gift shops. I would also suggest visiting the Pearl Harbor USS Arizona Memorial. Ki and I went without a guided tour because there were a lot of areas of the museum where you didn't have to pay and it was free and accessible for everyone. We were particularly interested in looking at the submarines, so we paid for that portion, which was around $44 US for the 2 of us. And there are definitely parts of the museum which are completely outdoors, so just keep that in mind when you're picking out your outfit, and don't forget your umbrella at home on a rainy day, which is exactly what we did. Moving on to my Honolulu food recommendations, we went to the Shokudo Japanese restaurant and bar, which was located in the Ala Moana Pacific Center, and the food was so delicious. We also tried their matcha honey toast for dessert, and that was so yum, and apparently it's one of their specialty dishes. Now, this next spot, Island Vintage Coffee, has a few locations in Honolulu. It was so good that I went back a second time, and I had the iced Hawaiian honey oat latte, which was delicious. Both times we went, the lines were super long, so be prepared to wait. I honestly didn't think it would live up to the hype, but man, was I wrong. I'd also really recommend the acai bowls from Tropical Tribe, which is just located on Ala Moana Boulevard. I'd also really recommend Aloha Kitchen. They're really well known for their souffle pancakes and their loco moco. And we were reading reviews that it gets full extremely early on. So we arrived pretty much 5 minutes after they opened, which was like 7:30, and the whole place was super crowded. So highly recommend trying it out and getting there early. I really miss the Musubi cafes. There were multiple locations, and we were reaching the stage that every time we walked by one, we would just pop by and get a musubi. I love the spam and egg musubis. It just always hit the spot. Now, this next spot, Laliha Bakery, is very well known for its desserts. So I read really great reviews about their cocoa puffs and their mochi donuts and so on. But oh my god, Ki ordered the oxtail oxtail soup with noodles, and it was so delicious. It was just such a standout meal. We weren't expecting it to be so good, and honestly, I still think about this dish very often. And I had the loco moco fried rice, and that was great too, but man, if I went back, I'd definitely get the oxtail soup. And of course, we picked up some sweet desserts at the end, and they were delicious. So I celebrated my birthday on our honeymoon, and Ki took me to Zigu, which is a Japanese restaurant and sake bar on Seaside Avenue. It was freaking delicious. All of the dishes were just standouts, and the drinks were really nice as well. The service was excellent, and I just couldn't fault a thing. It was such a great meal. On one of the nights when we were extremely exhausted, we got takeaway from Zippy's, which is a well-known restaurant chain. It has so many locations around Hawaii, and I understand why there is so much hype around Zippy's. I wasn't expecting much from this takeaway, but it was delicious. I'm so happy we tried it, and even though it was takeaway, it was so good, I definitely had to include it in this video. So that is a wrap on this video. I really hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please don't forget to like and subscribe. It really supports my channel. Thank you so much, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!